We're here for DFS, and we are going to be talking some football. This is a really weird slate, Rody. We'll get right to it. We did our show, a couple days ago. We talked through our plays. I honestly don't think a whole lot's changed for me. The only thing is whether Darren Waller plays. Do we want to play Foster Moreau? I guess but pretty much I'm on the similar path. Did you find anything else that maybe you've come along to that weren't on Friday?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe more at the quarterback position. I'm getting some of these more crappier stacks than we were talking about, just because they kind of fit a little bit better now that I'm unsure about Waller. I'm kind of, figuring that out too. But maybe projections popping a little bit of Tua. I don't know why for Millie Maker only guys, and some Derek Carr a little bit more too. So.
Yeah, I actually I'm probably the weird guy who does play Tua a little bit. I mean I have in the past, and actually I've had decent success. The guy's going to throw the ball a bunch of times today. It's Atlanta. He threw it 47 times last week against Jacksonville. That's Jacksonville, but this is Atlanta. He's going to probably throw for 300 yards. He's probably going to have a couple touchdowns. So at 5,800, it makes sense. I'm sort of more sticking to my other guys because they go with my stacks and they're going to be low owned. I've become even more of a fan. You're going to have to talk me off this because you are my Packer guy. You are the Packer guy. I don't know why I can't stop playing Aaron Rodgers here. Are you with me at all?
I got Rodgers. Yeah. I'm in on it, man. He's in stacks.
What are your thoughts about Tanyan as a secondary option, or do we
have him on Tanyan? I have him on FanDuel, so he'll be in the stacks. I'm pulling it up right now. More on FanDuel for Tanyan than DK, but I mean it works either way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me for sure.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that maybe that we need to touch on before we go through positions? Because like I said, I'm still going to stack KC, Tennessee. I'm still going to stack a little bit of Baltimore, Cincinnati. I'm going to definitely be using a lot of Mixon and Aaron Jones, as we talked about. I will stack Green Bay and Washington. I am just not going to do the Philadelphia. I'm going to have one stack of it on FanDuel because you have Devontae Smith at 5,800, which is kind of a joke. But I am okay if I'm not going to play a million lineups, which I'm not today. I'm okay just fading the chalky game. I don't see it as being so much better. I'll have maybe individual plays, Smith, Jacobs, Sanders, but I don't think I really need to get too creative and go too many other places with that. I actually feel like it's just going to be a little bit over-owned, and I don't mind, doing something a little bit different. Sorry, we're getting the injury updates. Nothing new yet, but I'm going to keep looking at my phone for that reason. Guys, when you can pop in here, ask some questions, say your thoughts. Rody, is there what other games? You said you're getting weird with some other game stacks. What games are we looking at here?
I think I'm getting a little bit more Brady too, and I'm trying a couple different things this week with no run backs. So I got my optimizer spitting out more one quarterback and a couple pass catchers and no run back we talked about on the show. So I'm trying to get a little bit of that. I'm also trying to not to correlate as much for secondary correlation this week and kind of just getting maybe more one-offs of the guys that I really want in my lineups versus always running it back and correlating.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we both tend to be the guys who are always on the running it back and, organizing it like that, secondary stacks, make sure you have something that makes sense. Tevin Coleman, Jeff Smith, inactive, nothing new there. But I don't is there a chance, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I'm going to just pose a question. Is it maybe that you're following a trend that everybody's been doing lately, but there's not really there's no logic base of why you don't want to run things back? It's really just because it's been winning. I mean, I really want to understand.
Well, that's a really good question. I don't dig too deep into the past slates like that. I have noticed a few of those things working. But I just think some of the game stacks, I just felt like last year even where I was on the right game and they went off and then I had one dud in my lineup. And I see that maybe it's kind of trending again this year where it's kind of working where people aren't getting the dud. And if we have all these blowout games, maybe one team scores 40, the other scores 10 and doesn't get there. And even the backups are playing and better than some of the teams that we're running it back with. So Those guys are sitting and they're trying not to get hurt. They don't want to. The coaches are like, "Oh, this is a blowout. We're gonna sit Swift. We're gonna sit Hawkinson," or that's just one of the games I was thinking about. But there's other ones like that. Like Houston with Cooks too. Maybe they try running some of those younger guys, Nico Collins and those other guys, and Cooks is out of the game for half the game because they're blowing them out, getting blown out. So you got to kind of figure that too when you run backs, I think.
Right. I got you. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's an interesting thing to think about for anybody, and maybe why we do the things. But I think it makes some sense. Like we have, over the last couple of years, there's a little more discrepancy in the NFL. Like there's some teams. I mean, you have a bunch of examples this week. There's 4 teams with double-digit favorites. That it does seem to make sense to maybe go with that, stack with no run back situation maybe more than it has in the past. All right, let's play a little game here. We're going to talk about favorite quarterbacks. I know we talked about a bunch of game stacks. Who do you think you're going to have as your highest owned quarterback?
I kind of, for my single entry builds and stuff, I spread it out a little bit. Like I get different ones that I like Murray, Rodgers and them guys. I'm getting to I was getting a lot of Tom Brady for a while, but then he kind of toned back a little bit. But now I'm getting Murray, Tua, Burrow, Derek Carr, Mahomes, and Stafford, and Rodgers is like I'm kind of all over the place today. I'm not like all in on one guy. I mean, I'm just kind of taking like 10 lineups, 150 build, kind of taking 10 lineups with each of these guys or so 5 to 10 lineups and hoping I get my player pools pretty condensed where I got maybe, a lot of the good guys. And I just need which stack wins me the game. You know what I mean? Wins me the best lineup of the day,
Yeah, I hear you. I can say for myself that I'm going to be using Mahomes as the most. You're going to hear that from me probably every week. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers are my 3 highest owned quarterbacks currently. My next guy is probably going to end up being Mixon, and then it'll be Kyler Murray. I do have a Jalen Hurts lineup on FanDuel, so I don't want to act like I'm not playing any of Jalen Hurts at all. But for the most part on DraftKings, well, actually entirely on DraftKings, I will not be playing any Jalen Hurts. All right, favorite running backs this week.
Who? That's a good one. For DK, I'm getting a lot of Chuba again. Henderson. I'm having a hard time to get off it. I'm still trying to pump Aaron Jones and mix it into more lineups. Like I got them around 15 to 20%, but I kind of want them more on FanDuel. I think I got them a little bit heavier. Darrell Williams is up there too. Yeah, Mixon, I'm at about 20% both on Jones and Mixon. They're coming in at 2 of my top 5 backs. I'm getting to Sanders a little bit more. And less Chuba on FanDuel, more Chuba on DK. A lot of Booker on DK. I don't know if I like that. What's your thoughts on that guy, man? The optimizer's giving me a ton of them. I don't know what
Booker?
to do yet. Yeah, Devontae Booker under.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who'd you say?
Devontae Booker for
Booker. That's what I thought.
Giants.
Yeah. I don't like that I'm using him a little bit, and it's going to be on FanDuel for me more so because he's really cheap. I get my double thing. I have 70% of a running back. Can you guess who that running back is? Because I promise you, other people are not. At least at this moment, they're not doing it yet, and we don't even have the injury update that I thought we were going to get. But I have 70% of a running back. Who do you think that running back is?
That's a good one. Is it Swift?
McKissick.
Oh, McKissick.
Look, it's weird. I understand. Okay. I first of all, I think they're going to be playing from behind in that game. I mean, look, Antonio Gibson, as I said last week, he was out of the game early. He's got a hairline fracture. What are they even doing? Why is he not officially inactive? I am a big fan of this play. And if it bites me, it bites me. I think that there is plenty of upside. And for a guy who's 5K, he had, he had 11 targets last week. Until we hear Antonio Gibson's out, he is going to be incredibly low owned. And I think is a great pivot off of Miles Sanders chalk, considering that Miles Sanders hasn't had a game we could use him. I'm going to play some Miles Sanders too. So here I am just saying all this stuff about him. But I really, really, really love this McKissick play. And I think Miles Sanders is, you're going to have, he hasn't scored more than 11 fantasy points in a game. McKissick just scored 19 last week. And this is basically a similar game setup for him. McKissick has scored over 17 fantasy points in 3 of the 5 games this season that 3 of the 6 games he's played in this season. I honestly think this is an absolutely awesome play if Gibson's playing. If Gibson's not playing, this is like a must-have for me. So I might even get more of him.
Yeah, I didn't say McKissick, but I got a lot of them.
Gibson
I
is
don't
active,
know.
by the way.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't mention him in my list because I like him. I got him in some single entry higher dollar builds and stuff. My Roger stacks. He's my bring back. I like Terry McLaurin. I tend to get lower on Ricky Seals in that game, but I mean he's going to be pretty chalky. In the chat, K9 Broccoli, I do like Damian Harris for New England. Similar game share. I'm not getting to him though. Maybe I should be. What's your thoughts on him?
I actually think I should probably get a little bit of Damian Harris as I don't need to have 1,000,000% McKissick. Damian Harris is too cheap. The Jets have been beaten by the run a number of times this season. I'll just say right now though, Damian Harris has one game over 15 fantasy points this season. JD McKissick has 3 games. I'm just saying, like Damian Harris is going to be owned. JD McKissick is going to be 0.5% owned. It's the other one I would like to get a little bit more exposure to is, look, everybody's going to be playing the same sort of chalk things and everything. I kind of want to get a little bit of Patterson, like we talked about before. I don't want to come off of it quite yet. I'm not like finding it in my normal builds like before. He was like a staple of all my builds. Now I just want to get a little bit of exposure to him. But I even think that as bad of a play as Mike Davis, I keep telling everyone he is, this is probably a decent enough spot to use him at 5,200. I'm just looking at guys in that price tier because I'm going to be playing a lot of Henry in my run backs in the KC games. I'm going to be playing a ton of Mixon and Aaron Jones. And where I'm not, it's going to be these cheapos for me. That's what I'm looking at. So I really want cheap running backs. Damian Harris fits the bill. I like that call by K9 Bronco. Miles Sanders fits the bill, but he's going to be popular. I have 0 Darrell Henderson right now, and that could come back to bite me. I'm willing to take that risk. DeAndre Swift, I have 0 of right now. I just am not. I'm not going to do it. There's too much. To me, this is too volatile a position to go crazy on. I could see the Darrell Williams thing a little bit ahead of those guys. I'm barely playing any Fournette, and where I am, it seems to be on FanDuel for some reason. I just ended up more over there. And the Devontae Booker thing, like if we're going to play Devontae Booker, I don't know. I just am preferring these other guys, man. Tell me I'm crazy, but that's what I'm going to do.
No, I love these other guys you want. I like going low on Henderson, although I got a ton of them. And I just don't like the running backs besides Jones and Mixon that I talked about. But it's like, do I just lock button some of these guys or, I don't know. I'm getting a lot of these different guys. I'm kind of now spreading it out. I've upped JD McKissick. I got more of him, more Jones, Mixon. So I'm kind of spreading it out. I think maybe just not going all in like typically I go all in on,
Yeah, I do think some people got the message because literally since we recorded, I'm looking at a couple different sites' ownership projections, and Joe Mixon is up to 5% now from like 1%, which he was at on Friday. And we've got Aaron Jones at nearing 10%. 9, 10. I've got another side of 7.
Yeah, they're both up from when we talked about them. So maybe everyone watches our video, Bobby.
There you go. We didn't even get as many views as we normally do because we recorded later than usual, but somehow they seem to get the message.
Yeah, I know.
The weirdest part about the Antonio Gibson thing is that my fear about him, like, what if he is okay enough? I don't know. I think I'm going to stick with the McKissick thing, but I really, really, really like this play. The problem is, like, I love Gibson in general. I'm a huge Gibson guy. He's 5,900, but I'm just going to do the McKissick thing. Who am I kidding? I'm not going to change now, unless someone gives me a really, really good reason to. Anyway, all right. So what are the other plays you're using? Like, let's talk about some wide receivers. I know we're mostly keeping in stacks, maybe outside of and including stacks. Who are you looking at?
Kind of like, I'm getting a little bit more Renfro, I think, in that game underneath on the Eagles. I know that's a little bit, he's not as chalky yet, but he's probably going to pop up to be a lot more chalky. I'm still trying to get Devontae, Robert Woods, Kupp, those guys. I'm trying to split Kupp and Woods a little bit in ownership. I know everyone wants Kupp, but I think Woods might be viable this week. I do still like DeAndre Hopkins, as we talked about in our show. Mm-hmm. I think I'm trying to get a little bit more of him. I'm trying to get a little more keep my exposure with Tyreek Hill a little bit. I'm getting a lot of Godwin, though, in my builds. Maybe try to bump him down. But a couple flyer guys that I didn't talk about before. maybe like Jacoby Myers, he's popping in the builds being so cheap. I know he hasn't scored a touchdown, but he's getting a lot of usage or whatever and targets and stuff, but maybe it's his day to day. I'd like to try to get a little bit more, Robbie Anderson, which I know you like, and talk to him, and maybe in that game, a little DJ Moore, and then Brandon Cooks a little bit too. And it is my run back, but you don't have to run it back today, guys. We talked about that. We talked about different options. Cheap receivers, though. Someone asked about Pettis in there. Pettis is getting a little bit of love now. He's popping up. He had a lot of targets last week. The projections are starting to like him now a little bit more today. I don't know why. And Bateman is still another cheap guy if you guys need a couple of cheap receivers that are popping in projections. So.
Yeah, I like Bateman, Tyler Johnson. I'm skipping Renfro, but I'll play Bateman, Johnson, and Hardman would be the 3 cheap guys that I'm probably playing the most. And then, honestly, they're not exactly values, but they don't you don't think of them as value plays. But T. Higgins, this is a ridiculous price tag. And we're going to say that all year long because Cincinnati's got 3 legitimate receivers. But one of these guys, I think you could almost blindly just put a Cincinnati receiver. I said Tennessee, but I meant Cincinnati. You could blindly put one of these Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and I think you're in good shape. You're going to be in good shape most of the time. One of those guys is putting up 20, in my opinion, most weeks. And I think you're going to get too many weeks. And I also think we're giving Baltimore's defense a ton of credit. They deserve it. They played a great game last week, but let's not go crazy here. It's not like they haven't been burned all over the field the rest of the games this season. I think that's a really, really good one. So Stafford will not leave his single entry, says Triple J. Is that okay with you? I am completely fine if you want to play Stafford. I am personally not doing it, but I totally support it. What are your thoughts on Stafford?
FanDuel, I like Stafford. I got him in a monster lineup, So I did a cup. Actually did a cup in Woods monster stack there. I kind of like with a TJ Hawkinson run back. So I still like Swift and Hawkinson today. A little bit. The Lions are popping a little bit more than normal. I know the Rams defense is really good and stuff, but if you don't want to run it back, I understand. If you do, those are the 2 guys I'm going to try to use. If not, it's okay.
Yep. So we got another one from, hey, what's up, Carnes? He said, what's up, fellas? Any good value at tight end other than RSJ? My answer to that would be Tanyan. I don't have a ton of them, and I think you're going to have it. I think you can speculate and play Foster Moreau and hope that Waller's out. If Waller is in, I think it's an afternoon game, so we're not going to know. If Waller's in, of the afternoon guys to go cheap on, I would say that I think that your answer is Zach Ertz. That's what I would do. What do you think about that, Rody?
I like Tanyan a little bit. That's for sure. Zach Ertz, I don't mind. I got a little bit of him. I bumped him up a little bit. I have Ertz and Tanyan about the same. Ricky Seals, I'm dropped way down a little bit. Besides that, I'm kind of going with kind of a more of a balanced approach on that, or with my stacks. I do have a little bit more Kyle Pitts that I like to get. So, and Gesicki and Goddard are obviously popping too as a little bit more costly, not as cheap as like Seals or those guys. So,
yep. That makes sense. Let me just I'm just trying to get some lineups done, making sure I'm saying exactly what I am playing because I hate to mislead anybody. But I really like the Zach Ertz play personally. I think that there's a really good chance he gets in the end zone. I like Ricky Seals-Jones. They're really, they will find Ricky Seals-Jones. He's got a big body. They really did look for him quite a bit in that KC game, and I think that this is a great spot to play one of those cheap tight ends. This is not that smash tight end week if you're not playing Kelsey. I don't think that Kelsey and Andrews, I guess you'd have the ceiling with. And I actually do have Waller in lineups in case he does play. You're going to get no ownership on this guy in a game that people are targeting. What's my Henry percentage now? I don't have that much Henry. I have 5% of them, I want to say, but I do like Hunter Henry. I'm finding myself kind of preferring Ertz, which might be a mistake. But I honestly, to be completely honest, I kind of need the 200 in a lot of cases. What are your thoughts on Hunter Henry?
I was on him on the pick show a little bit earlier. He's popping in my builds now as much, but I do like it. I still think he's a good play. I think I should try to get more of him.
Yeah, the Jets do get burned over the middle, so I think that's not a bad idea.
Did they announce? Did they announce Waller out?
No, they haven't. We wouldn't know that. We won't know that till 10:30.
Yeah, that's right. Why projections update just took a crap on him, dude?
Is he still projected as in, right?
Yeah,
Right?
he did, but they must have my projections bumped him down. I mean, he's not even showing up anymore. Like this
No, I
like
mean, but is he okay? Well, don't say. Let's clear this up though, because he's not showing up, right? He's not inactive. They wouldn't announce that 4.5 hours before the game. They would announce it 90 minutes before the game.
No, I'm just saying he went from being they must have like his projection got bumped down. So they're
Okay.
factoring him as in, but maybe at like a 75% health wise. So basically he's gonna score this many points and they dropped it a little bit.
Yeah, I still have him projected to be significantly ahead of second highest scoring tight end on the slate.
Yeah, so okay.
But so he hasn't gone there for me yet. But I mean, look, no one's going to play him anyway, and people don't want to pay that price for Andrews. Andrews has as we know, an absolutely monster ceiling. If anybody's not comfortable, I completely understand it with Waller. I do think there is some value in taking a shot on a guy who's going to be completely unknown that could be the highest scoring tight end. Triple J's asking any Cole Kmet. I can't play everybody. I'm totally fine with Cole Kmet, but I'm not playing him, to be honest with you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of them, but like I don't like it. Maybe a couple lineup, not heavy, not even one of my top guys. So
yeah, it's fine with me.
I capped him at 4. I was getting too much of him, so I capped him at 4% max.
Yeah,
so he's not going to show up much at all for me.
So these are very general, broad questions. Any good low-owned quarterback? So okay, that's just everybody's going to be basically low-owned outside of a couple guys, right? Like we've got Mahomes who will be owned a little bit. We have Lamar, we have Stafford, and Jalen Hurts. Everybody else is low-owned. So of those guys,
Derek Carr, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray.
There you go.
Different price range.
Exactly what I would have said there. If you want to get a little bit
4 to 5% owned.
I will say Aaron Rodgers and Ryan
Rodgers, another one. I like that.
Yeah, I think there's this. There's a Tannehill has these weird games all over the place, and I just think it's kind of interesting that no one's on him this week, and this is probably the best possible situation for him because of the way KC plays, they're going to try and stack the box, and Tannehill's going to have a chance to get one-on-one coverage for both Julio and AJ Brown a number of times today, in my opinion. So. It's a really good spot.
Yeah.
Evans and God, go ahead, Rody.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there's a lot of good quarterbacks I think that are low owned today. I mean, even Burrow's low owned, which we talked about. I mean, the matchup for Sam Darnold's played well, decent early in the season, and he's going against the Giants this week.
Yep.
He could score a bunch of points, run a couple in. He could have 4 or 5 touchdowns on the day and be a quarterback at $6K at what ownership? He's getting oh no, he's only 2%. Yeah, that's not a bad flyer if you're talking Millie Maker lineups, guys.
Yeah, I love that call. If I was playing,
I don't know.
I'd want to get some exposure there. Favorite between Evans and Godwin? I prefer Godwin, but I like Evans as well. How about you?
Evans and Godwin, the question?
Yeah. Yep. Which one? Who do you like?
I'm getting a lot of Godwin, but I'd like on FanDuel, guys, look at Evans for touchdown upside. It's a good play over there. So
I totally agree with that. I actually think, and I think Evans is going to be very low owned because people will play Ridley on. Let me just double check the ownership before I say that, because Ridley, I think, is going to get the bulk of the ownership in that 60 whatever 100 tier, and I think AJ Brown would be the next guy. And then I think you're just going to have like an overlooked Evans here. And I think that's a really, really good spot to use him. It's interesting that Tyler Johnson's getting I do like Tyler Johnson. Like, don't get me wrong. And I'm looking for value at receiver because I'm playing Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, and I'm playing Rodgers and Devontae, which is an expensive combo. So I'm going to need some of these guys, but I don't think Tyler Johnson, like if he ends up with no fantasy points, you can't be angry. Okay. I would say Bateman is the better, safer play with probably even more upside. There's no reason Tyler Johnson has to actually do anything. At the same time, I'm kind of coming around to your Brady thing, by the way. Like, the more I think about it, isn't he just going to keep going nuts? Like, isn't he going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns and 300 yards every week? Like, maybe I should be more on Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I like the play. I think he's starting to pop a little bit for me. He's not too expensive, and you can get some decent sacks. You know where the volume's going to go. Evans, Godwin's. Even a Leonard Fournette you can kind of throw in there. Has been getting some pass work, but you could also use your Tyler Johnson there too. and stack it up. Because if Tyler Johnson's starting to get a lot of work, that means Brady's probably doing really well. So
it means Brady's probably doing really well, or I honestly don't know.
Or Evans or Godwin's not doing good at all.
Right, exactly. Carnes asked a question. I would say the answer to this for me is no. He said, is it okay to play Kyler on his own with no stack? I would say no to that personally. I am not in the phase of playing quarterbacks without receivers. There's only a couple times I've done that in my DFS life and on large slates, and it's always been Lamar Jackson. Kyler would be the other guy. But I just think you're kind of like in a weird, like, fine, pick a receiver. You have a great option. Take DeAndre Hopkins against his former team. I love the DeAndre Hopkins play today, so maybe that's why I'm biased. But I would say no, it's not okay to play Kyler on his own. How about you?
Yeah, for quarterbacks at the top, I don't usually do that either. So I'd never play them, like, even when Lamar was naked or those guys when they always did that. But I mean, today I can't tell you not to do the Kyler Murray just because nobody knows who he's going to throw to. But at the same time, I like that nobody's going to play Hopkins and these guys that they could throw to. Rondell Moore, I like. So they're going to get some work, guys. So, like, pick one of those guys and hope it goes to that guy. Don't just play Kyler naked. But, I mean, I can see some people doing that today around the industry, around DFS play. They're going to try Murray naked because they don't know where the ball is going to go to, and they think he's going to score 40 points. So,
you know what I would say? If you're going to play him naked, you don't want to play the receivers because we don't know who he's going to go to. Play Zach Ertz.
Or yeah, there you go, tight end stack. I like it.
You get a cheap tight end already there, and just use it. And by the way, Ertz can end up with 2 catches, and you're still probably okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation. Guys, keep popping the questions in. I love these questions. We got
chat's popping today, Bobby. Look at this.
I know. Look, we're getting it going. We're telling the people what we feel, and hopefully it's going to help out today. Spending all the way down on defense. So the answer for me for defense today is a little different than it has been in the past. I am spending, and I'll let Rody take it over after this, but I am spending down at defense down to 2,400 for the Jets, or I am playing the Cardinals and a little bit of the Ravens. There's basically nothing else I'm doing defensively. On FanDuel, my personal take is if you're not playing the Rams, you're doing it probably not necessarily wrong. I don't really understand the argument for not playing either the Rams, Bucks, Cardinals, right? Like that's the entire defenses you should be looking at, isn't it? Unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Bucks defense and a lot of Cardinals on FanDuel.
It's got to be one of those though, right? Like it's too easy to get them in. One of these defenses is probably going to put up, 15, 14 fantasy points, and there's a chance that you get a defense that doubles up any other defense, and those would be the ones I would choose from.
Yeah, I never really care about the defense as much as probably I should. I still play some of these cheaper ones.
But don't you agree that this week is a little different because you have some defenses like in incredible spots, and on FanDuel you're not really getting much, by dropping down?
Yeah, because on FanDuel you can make it fit a little bit better. But if you're also trying to stack some of these, like if you're trying to pull out the Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey stack with some crazy stuff, or like a Mahomes, Kelsey with Derrick Henry run back to get really crazy, these guys are expensive, man. Like you're gonna need like that. You're gonna need that $3,300 D.
So the cheap defense on over there, I guess we would use would be I would say the Jets still at 3,300 if you're gonna have to.
Yeah, that's what I was going at. Jets.
You think so?
Eagles is the one on DK. I think I'd use.
Yeah. The Eagles on DK. You can use the Eagles on FanDuel as well. Like they're right there.
Let me pull it up quick.
Yeah.
Where are the Eagles at? Jets at 3,300. Yeah, they're getting actually 8% owned. The Jets are. So that looks to be. I mean, rookie quarterback. I mean, a pick six is easy. Mac Jones hasn't looked the greatest. He's thrown a lot of picks. So that's viable. Eagles at 3.5 right there too. Yeah, they're viable. I think.
What is the price on New England's defense on FanDuel? I think
4.8.
4.8. Yeah. See, I would rather just play the Rams or Cardinals, but I do like New England's defense as well.
Yeah, you can get the Bucks for 4.4 against Chicago. Rookie quarterback Fields running around getting sacked all the time.
I feel like the Patriots just keep playing the Jets every week. Like I know, not really, but this is the second time they've played them already this season. That's kind of nuts. And they did put up 19 fantasy points in the last time they played them. They had the 4 interceptions on Wilson in that game, so you can definitely make an argument for New England. Although I prefer the Rams, Cardinals, and Bucks. the Bucks at 44. I mean, that's too cheap. Even it's FanDuel is the only site. Like I will pay up for defense on FanDuel because it's just too easy to do. Usually, if the pricing is soft enough, makes plenty of sense to me. So that's where I'm at. All right, guys, keep popping the questions in. Let's see. If you play Mahomes and Hill on DK, who's a solid run back besides Henry? I would say, honestly, everybody's going to play A.J. Brown. I would say play Julio Jones. That's what I would do. I'm sorry, not what I would do, what I am doing. I'm fine with A.J. Brown, but I like the Julio Jones play at lower ownership. How about you for run backs in that KC-Tennessee game?
Yeah, I like that. Brown, I think I got more Julio. Let me find it here. I don't see it as much. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. I think Julio's going to have a big game. He could have a big game.
I like Julio a lot today, actually. Is a Hill, Mahomes, Kelsey, and Henry a little too much? Are you talking about money-wise? Because I don't know how you're planning to fit that in. Like, that's a really – I don't even know practically if you can fit that in. I think I tried to do that in my first build, and it's basically impossible, right?
Let's see. I might have done it.
You're going to have – your average cost is going to be like $29. So you can play the cheap defense. You can play Bateman and Tyler Johnson, I guess, is what you're doing.
I think you can only pull it off on FanDuel.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it on DK. Even on FanDuel, it's 11K. I mean, I love Derrick Henry, guys, but like,
yeah. Let me see.
I mean,
where I'm maybe
Derrick Henry basically has to put up 30 fantasy points for you to get there. Like, he can have 2 touchdowns and 120 yards, and you're going to be like bummed that you have him. Like, that's the truth. Like, he's 11K. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm not seeing it.
Have you seen a guy 11K before on FanDuel? I don't think I have ever.
Christian McCaffrey hasn't he?
I don't think so. Not on FanDuel because he's more of a PPR guy, so that his numbers don't translate the same. Like I remember him being close to 10K before, but I've never seen a player at 11K. I'll just say it. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but I've never seen it personally. So, and by the way, look who's the fourth highest running back on FanDuel. I mean, actually the third highest of active players. It's my man CPAT. Who saw that one coming before the year? So other than the fact that the week one, I sort of figured it out what they were doing in Atlanta, but like I would never have thought this guy was going to be one of the top end running backs. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, tell you what, man.
Gibson is playing. Gibson is active. I don't care. Gibson was active last week, and we saw exactly what happened. Especially in passing down situations, they're going to go to McKissick anyway. I mean, anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm playing McKissick. Nobody's talking me off of it. I'm doing it, and I'm going to, just because I've talked so much about it, I'm probably going to have to make sure to get a little bit more of Miles Sanders, because I can't just commit to McKissick, but I kind of want to. Man, and I by the way, Rody, I have 20% of my lineup specifically have just Aaron Jones and Mixon as my running backs. So you rubbed off on me. We talked through it, and if it pays off today, I'm going to have to give you a little shout out. And if it pays off for you, hopefully you give me a little shout out.
Yeah, right. I think Jones might come in a little bit more owned now, though, man. I feel like a lot of people have been talking about him. So if he's went up a projection a little bit, we'll see. I still think he's going to be low owned. Everyone wants Devontae, I think. So,
yep, I agree with that. All right. Favorite under 5K wide receivers. I'll go first, and then I'll let you go. I like T. Higgins. And I like Robbie Anderson, and then I like Rashad Bateman. How about you?
Is that site specific?
For DraftKings, I mean, under 5K, it's got to be DraftKings. I don't think you're using under 5K.
Oh, yeah. What am I talking about? Duh.
No.
No, I like Renfro at 4.8. You got right there. You said what's the other one? You said T. Higgins at 4.9. Anderson, I mean, you could play I like Bateman a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play that Arizona side, you got Rondale Moore at 4.4. He's seen work in that game, and it should be a blowout. Someone's going to score points in that game.
Right.
So I kind of like those guys. I mean, you do have Mecole Hardman at 4.3, but he's getting a little bit higher owned. You got Pettis at 3K. We'll see how much he gets for projection wise. He's projected right there with like nine some points. It's not awful.
I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I like Hardman. Here's a couple weird ones. Darius Slayton. Why is no one playing him? He's 4K, and they're down receivers. So I think he's interesting. What are your thoughts on Slayton? Colin Johnson for the Giants as well. they're really down on. I mean, who do they have catching the ball today? Like those are
I don't know. Let me pull it up. Yeah, Slayton, Pettis, and Colin Johnson is what I got.
Yes, Slayton.
Is Shepard's out now?
Shepard's out. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So Slayton is going to be very owned. Take away that he's going to be low owned, but he's a good play. And
that's why Pettis is popping a lot more. Okay, now I'm figuring it out.
Okay, so that's what you can do. By the way, if you want to get for a weird stack, you can play the Giants. I'm not saying it's the best stack in the world, but you don't need your stack to hit. You can stack everything else. You can play Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry, and you could play this Giants Carolina game, run it back with Robbie Anderson, and boom, you have you know what I mean? If you can if these guys literally get 15 fantasy points, you're golden. And I think it's very possible that at least one of them does. I really like Slayton actually the best.
I'm getting a lot of Slayton too.
All right, I'm gonna have to get some more of it. Guys, we're going to get out of here in a few minutes, so make sure to ask any more questions. I love Mixon today. To answer your question, X Factor, I am all over Mixon. Rody, you still on Mixon?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. I think we're basically drying up on questions, but it's guys, this is a good active chat. We really appreciate you guys being here. Please give us the like, subscribe, all those things. Don't make me, I don't like saying it, but I probably have to. And Rody, any other takes before we get out of here? Because I think we've talked about each position. I think we've talked about our favorite plays. I think we've talked about literally everything else we could talk about. Is there anything maybe that we missed?
I don't have anything huge on that one.
Slayton and Colin.
It's a crazy slate, guys. Just try to stay within the ownership. Keep your ownership. Get a couple low on guys in your stacks or your lineups, and try to just kind of make sure you got a chance to win in first place in your lineup with ceiling players. Okay.
Yep, I'm the same. Guys, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Rody and I are going to finish our builds. We'll be in Discord all day. Pop in the questions. Throw in hopefully some screenshots, some early runs, some guys who you guys took at no ownership that have 30 fantasy points. We want to see all that stuff. And let's crush it today. Let's go, Team True DFS.
Let's go.
Good luck to everybody.